And here it is, the first installment of the Big Three, the real LUFENIA, or so I'm told. This stage I could see being a problem if you aren't properly equipped. I was, if you look at my team. And I'm gonna be honest, I understand, now before I say this, I understand that luck and RNG does play a role in this somewhat. However, if you're a person who has been keeping up with what's been going on in this game, if you're a person who watches JP videos or whatever it is you do to prepare for content coming our way, there is no reason that you shouldn't have lightning. I'm gonna just say that. You should have saved. Because that's what I keep hearing, is that you cannot say that this stage was easy for you if you brought lightning. And that makes zero sense to me. And no, I'm not singling out any one person in particular. No, Black Nero, I'm not talking about you. I know that that's not what you mean. I understand that. But there is this weird thing where it's like you can't even say that you thought it was easy if you brought a good team. Which makes zero sense to me whatsoever. I don't even know where else to go with it, really. But it is what it is. I actually wanted to come back here and record a separate video than this one, because this one's a little bit long for my liking. I like to keep mine preferably under 10 minutes. Some of them, and you know, I'll let it go to like, you know, 13, 14 sometimes. This one's 17 minutes. But I think that's just the nature of this stage and how it works. I mean, they kind of eliminate my typical rush down approach. So it just took a little bit more time. But like I was saying, this stage didn't really give me a problem. This is the first time I used, actually Raijin and Reno. I built both of them today. Because Raijin is somebody who I had been meaning to build for a long time. I've had his kit ever since Ultimate Alexander when he came out with Saz, but it kind of just sat there because I wanted Saz more at the time. But Raijin's been killing it in a lot of these LUFENIA stages. So I'm like, you know what? I think it's about time. And I'm glad I did. He did exceptionally well here. My only complaint with him is he's pretty slow. Maybe it just seems like that because Lightning's on the team, but I've heard that from other people that Raijin's generally a slower character. It helps with his longevity. I mean, the dude lasts forever, but the con with that is you want his paralysis to come up. Comes up every 3 turns, and if he's barely taking turns, it kind of takes forever to get to it. But it worked out. We were able to manipulate the turn order enough to where the paralysis was up when we needed it. In fact, in some cases it was like the mist came up way before their action did. So that happened, I think it was like the middle phase, like the 50% threshold one. This stage was more annoying than it was difficult, I think. Like, yeah, that's how I'm gonna say it. For me, again, this is me personally. I want to make that absolutely clear. I am not making a claim of fact here. I'm not saying that this is just how the stage is for everyone. Listen to me. This is my verdict. No, this is just my experience with the stage. It wasn't difficult. It was annoying. That's what I think. Because this mist is awful. Look at that damage output. That's terrible. But yet again, Raijin is not really here for damage. He's here for this. Nothing to worry about. Pretty good stuff. So the big 3 I had mentioned, I'm sure anyone who's watching this knows already what the big 3 are. It's this one, the Sephiroth Heretics, and the Kirin Lost Chapter. That's the big 3. And I'm already seeing, oh my god, the things people are saying back and forth to each other is, wow. Yeah, this stage is already causing controversy from people saying that they found it easy. Now there are some people who are just straight up, like, pretty aggressive about it. And sometimes it's half funny, half cringe. I mean, everybody enjoys the trash fire every now and again. I mean, let's just be real honest about that. One thing I did hear for a long time, back when this first came out on the Japanese server, I heard from a lot of players that you absolutely needed lightning to do this. And you don't. There's some lightning comps out there that can get it done. Maybe I'll put one together. You know what, I might, because with this stage being like one of the worst ones, supposedly, I'd like to do a no lightning comp. I don't know what that comp will be. I'll have to mess around with some things, but I think there's a decent amount of characters who can get this done. Edward is really damn good here with that sleep. You can kind of just pop it whenever you need to. You don't have to wait for it to come up like with Raijin. But I opted for Raijin because if it weren't for that HP sap that the mist causes, I probably would have brought Edward instead of Raijin. But unlike Edward, Raijin heals. So we didn't have to worry about dropping underneath the HP requirement because they didn't really get to attack us. It was more so just a matter of trying to time it right with when the mist came up. That was the biggest thing with this. Again, like I said, not so much difficult, more so annoying. In my view, anyway. Okay. I forgot. I have to be, like, hyper literal about everything I say because I've noticed that with this community, if you don't exactly define every single word that you mean in a sentence, people will jump all over you. So let me try again so that people don't pick this apart. In my experience with this team, this stage wasn't so bad. Which should be obvious. I mean, synergy has always been effective, and that is much truer now than it's ever been now that we're in the LUFENIA era. Because a lot of it has to do with orb conditions and stuff, but just in general, synergy helps more now than it ever has before, I would say. So next poll, I mean, we'll see what happens. I would love to get Sephiroth's gear. I know a lot of people have said not so good things about him, but I don't really care. It's Sephiroth and I want his stuff. Plus, he does get good later. He gets a lot better later with his LD boards and stuff. And I would like to just have his gear now so I don't have to chase it then. Because around then, I'm probably going to want to get other stuff like Queen or something like that. Or the Titus BT. Wow, for anybody who hasn't seen that, go look that up right now, because they fixed the dude. They went above and beyond. Titus was like Basura Brothers with Zell for the longest time, you know, that whole thing. Not anymore, dude. Titus is very good now. He brings in the Blitz Ball. He's got all these follow-up attacks. I won't spoil the whole thing, but go look it up. It's pretty nice. I feel like I was gonna go on like a whole rant, and I kind of did a little bit, but I kind of just like lost the energy because it's exhausting. A lot of it really is like the same conversation happening over and over and over again, and it does get it gets old. But it does seem like, and again, this is just my perspective, it does seem like, for the most part, it's almost, okay, my thoughts are all over the place, but something that's weird about this whole thing, the LUFENIA is easy meme or whatever, it seems like, okay, it started with, maybe this all happened on the Japanese server too, I don't know, I wasn't around for that stuff, but as far as global's concerned, and like a lot of the community is concerned, where I saw it really kick up the most was when, I mentioned this before, when Raz, one of our own, had mentioned that he thought the first LUFENIA was easy with the team he brought, and really was trying to be encouraging to everybody else, like, hey, let's go crush this together, nothing's impossible, let's go. And just because he said the word easy, people took like hyper focused on the word easy, and were saying the weirdest stuff to him. Like, well, why don't you bring characters that suck and then tell me it's easy? Okay, well, to quote Mark, why don't you try to break down a wall with a spoon and then tell me that can be done? I'm like, you know what I mean? It's kind of a weird argument. But anyway, it started with that. It kind of died down a little bit. Now it's back in full force because, like I said, the big three are here, starting with this one. But now it seems as though there are other people that are coming in halfway through that whole conversation that are trying to come off as neutral observers. Like, it's weird. It's like, it's not even just with this, but in general, the neutral observer is sometimes like the most pretentious, like annoying person involved in the whole skerfuffle, because they came in halfway through, they don't really know the whole story, and they pretend like they're all knowing because they didn't pick a side or something. It's weird. Like, you're saying this, but you're saying this, but you're both wrong, and I know because I'm in the middle and I see all things, which doesn't make any sense. You just got here, dude. You don't know what we're talking about. Stop pretending like you do. So that orb is counting down. We need to get the stun on or something, because they're about to do this mist again too. But first, that orb. Lightning can be a problem here. I mean, as good as she is, as recommended as she is, she has her problems for this stage. Like, with all the turns she takes, if you lose a debuff like that, that's not good. Okay, for those who don't know, the orb condition for this stage, that, as you probably saw in the beginning, the orb just starts counting down immediately at 15, and it stops when the enemies have 3 or more debuffs on them. So that's why, yes, see, the second we put paralysis on, it stops. That's why. You know, looking at that, probably should have saved my EX. Yeah, I probably should have. See, I don't remember if I have C65s left, but I very easily could have just gotten both of them right under that 30 mark and then let them take a turn. But looks like that's only going to happen to B, excuse me, to A. So now Reno's in this weird spot where, yeah, he'll do damage to this one, but the splash damage won't be for much at all. That's supposed to be 50%, but not this time. Okay. So we went through all 3 phases of the mist. So at this point, it's smooth sailing. There's really nothing to worry about now. I probably could have done lesser turns if I would have planned this out a little better, but this really was my first time really using Reno or Raijin. What better place to test them out than the hardest stage ever? Whatever. It worked out. They are perfect for it, though. I'm not going to sit here and toot my own horn. Like, this team is stupidly good for this stage. It kind of has everything you need and more to just get it done with relative ease. This team can do it. Like, it really, again, I know I'm a broken record, but I'm gonna keep saying it. Like, to me, this wasn't difficult with this team. It was, but I could see it being a problem if you don't know the mechanics. Like, if you just jump into this and try to rush this down, you're not gonna have a good time. And I think that's the case for a lot of these stages. And yes, the difficulty is gonna scale. It's gonna differ from stage to stage. But I just think, in general, you just gotta know what the battle mechanics are. You just have to know what the enemies are gonna do when you get there. And again, now more than ever, because now with this introduction to LUFENIA, especially now that we're in this part of it, they're making an all-out rushdown approach less viable. And that's how most people that claim to be good at this game play. They just run in with really strong characters and beat the hell out of the enemies. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have done my fair share of that on all over this channel, so trust me, I'm not begrudging that strategy at all. It's my favorite one. But the devs knew that too, and they knew how effective it was, and that's why they nerfed it with fights like this, where you have to let your enemies do something. An action has to take place, or you're going to be screwed. They did that last time with Camelot's Lost Chapter. And they're doing it again here. They're going to do it again in Kieran's. So be aware of that. I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they did it that way, though. I'm glad they mixed it up to where you can't just go in with, hey, here's 1,000 free turns and a bunch of delays, and this game is nothing now. No. Those days are kind of gone. I mean, yeah, turn delay is still very helpful. Turn shenanigans are very helpful, obviously, but you can't just have that and expect to do well. You need more in the roster. Now more than ever. But look, this wasn't bad. 41? I'll take 40. Well, I think 42 is where we ended up. But even so, yeah, that would have killed. So close. But I'll take it. I would also like to bring Reno to another stage, because it's weird. Even though this is his stage, I feel like I didn't really get the best view of what he can actually do. Even what we had to do to, you know, stay alive here and stuff. And the damage is nerfed because of that mist, so it's like we can't really see. But I'll try him out in other places. Alright, so that's part 1 of the Big 3. Thanks for watching.